Let's see. Okay. Hi, gang.
Hey.
Hey. Let me just grab another pillow here. Hold on. I just got back from a bike ride, so I'm really glad that this is not smell-o-vision because I did take a shower, so I'm kind of scuzzy. But thank God for Zoom. Let's see. Hi, Jane. Hi, Jeannie.
Hey.
How are you?
Oh, let's see. I'm great. Thanks. I'm
Good.
not muted.
You're what? You're not
I'm not
muted?
muted. I'm looking. I don't have to unmute. Yeah, I'm great. And so happy to be with everybody.
Oh,
Yeah,
good. Well,
nice
it's
to
nice
see
to
you
have you.
again.
It's nice
Yeah,
to have you
great.
back with us. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
The
great.
track you sent sounded great. You sounded in good voice. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm glad to have
Thank
you
you.
have
Yeah,
your
thanks for helping me with it too.
yeah, whatever. And I know I sent around, I did what I said I would do, and that is just send everybody everything. And so Jeannie, you got some things that you didn't even know what they were about. So, if you want them, keep them, play with them, whatever.
Well, I listened to the tape that was taken, and it was a wonderful class. That was really a wonderful class that you had, and so thank you for
Yeah,
sending
well, you're
that
welcome.
out.
I mean, we really have just barely got started last week, and we had some new people. I had to kind of take the time to get them
Sure.
introduced, etc. So,
Yeah,
and
wonderful.
I'm going to kind of get underway pretty quickly because I want to make sure we get to everybody and everybody gets an equitable amount of time. So, Coco is not here yet. So
She's in. I think, yeah, here
there you
she is.
are. Hi, hon.
Hi.
Hi.
Um,
So thank
sorry.
you. Thank you. Those of you who kind of switched around to make it possible for Wendy to go a little earlier, we really appreciate that. That's really nice
Yes, thank you so
you
much.
guys to have some flexibility. So, and again, you can always let me know if you let me know a couple days in advance if something comes up. I can do what I can to shift things around, but that's great.
Mm. I have to
Um,
leave a little bit early than
okay, that's
usual.
fine.
Okay, all right.
That's fine.
So,
So we'll go ahead and start with you, Coco.
yes,
What
yes,
do you
sure.
have today?
Okay, so I picked a brand new song again this week.
Hmm.
So
That's all good.
everything happens to me is a
Mhm.
little tricky. So I just would like to learn the basic melody line.
Mhm.
And then I learned the verse, but to me it's very hard to say like a
Oh, you picked one
WRAPH.
hell of a verse to try
Yeah,
to
so
sing.
black cat
Yeah,
creeps,
yeah.
creeps
Black
across.
cats creep
So
across my
it's yeah, it's
path.
oh,
I'm
so
sorry.
my path until and then rouse the devil's wrath. Right? That's
Well, you
so.
picked it.
So I'm not gonna do that. So I
Okay.
just just
Yeah.
one chorus for the. I just would like to know the melody line. That's all.
Sure, sure. You
Okay.
know, and at some point, if you want to work on that verse with me, I'll work with you on it.
Oh, that'd
And
be
there's
great.
really no reason why you need to rush through that verse. For
Right.
instance, I mean, you can. I'm working with a lot of students that are,
Yeah.
English second language. A lot of Russian students lately, for
Oh, I
whatever
see.
reason, and so
Yeah.
we spend a lot of time just on the elocution of getting an understanding of how to
Right.
make your tongue say some of those
Right.
ridiculous things. But
Oh,
again, this tune is so great, even without the verse, that if you never did it, it wouldn't be the end of the world
yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
So,
And then one part, I think I can do the humming way, but if I try to say the word, it's suddenly like a blah. So
hmm
you will
hmm
hear that. So
okay,
okay.
okay. Well, yeah. And so what we're looking
Okay.
for really is just the basic melody here
Okay,
too,
so
right?
yeah,
Okay,
D f-
gotcha.
so D flat major. Okay,
Okay.
then the tempo will be 65. Just okay. I make a day for golf, and you can bet your life it rains. I try to give a party, and a guy upstairs complains. I guess I go through life just catching codes and missing trains. Everything happens to me. I never missed a thing. I've had the measles and the mumps, and every time I play an ace, my partner always trumps. I guess I'm just a fool who never looks before she jumps. Everything happens to me. At first, my heart thought you could break this jinx for me. That love would turn the trick to end despair. But now I just can't fool this head that thinks for me. I mortgaged all my castle in the air. I've telegraphed and phone. I sent a email special too. Your answer was goodbye, and there was even postage too. I fell in love just once, and then it had to be with you. Everything happens to me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you really just started working on this one, right?
Yes, yes,
Well, it's a great tune. I love the lyrics to this tune. I think it's just
yeah,
one of the most clever lyrics.
right.
Um, uh, it's all good. The bridge needs a little work, and so
Okay.
I queued it up myself. When you get to the bridge, your pitches. I think you understand the melody, but your pitches start to drag down a little bit.
Oh,
You're a little
okay.
bit flat in there,
Okay.
and I have a couple of thoughts about that even before I sing the corrected melody notes for you.
Mm-hmm.
When I used to do studio work for many years, the producers in there told me about headphones, and they said,
Mm,
sometimes if you're having any intonation issues, if you pull
right,
one headphone off so you're getting an acoustic version of your voice,
right,
that might also be helpful. And I think you are using earbuds when you're singing,
right, right.
right?
Okay. Okay,
Yeah. So
that'd be great. Yeah.
one in, one out. Sometimes that can help.
Okay.
You have a lot of reverb on your vocals, and
Right,
I love reverb. So I mean, I'm not going to slap your wrist about it, but be careful if you have so much on it that you're not actually able to kind of somewhere between that and the real raw organic sound of
right,
the real voice
right,
will help you with overtones. Because the
right,
overtones are what are kind of, I think, tricking your brain into thinking you're there
right.
when you're
Yeah.
not quite there.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, the other little trick, when you're learning a tune and it's got some maybe pitchy parts or
Right,
difficult parts,
right,
use the iReal Pro setting of long notes like we've done before to
right.
study the chords. Well, you
Mm-hmm.
can also do that to help the chords kind of wrap around your melody note and help
Right.
you really hear why it's the note it is, or if it's off, if it's out of tune.
Right.
See what I mean?
Right.
So I'll
Yep.
give you an example really quickly, and I'll record myself doing this of the bridge because everything
Mhm.
else was fine.
Okay, thanks.
Let me just get it started here. You were in B flat, right? Everything happens to me. So here's the pitch before that. So we're coming from to me. Wait a minute. Did you say you were
I'm a D flat
D
major.
flat? I was going to say, whoa, I was really wrong. Okay, D flat. Thank you for clarifying.
Sorry.
And I'm going to give you one little piece of advice. When you mention your key, these keys that rhyme B, D, and E,
Right.
you can add to it. You say D flat, dog flat, or B
Okay.
flat, boy flat, or
Okay.
E flat, egg flat. You can
Okay.
also if you're on the bandstand with musicians, I often see somebody trying to yell across the bandstand what key they want, and the musicians misunderstand them. So B flat is this, 2 fingers down. E flat is this, 3 fingers down. D flat is, I don't know, maybe 5 fingers down. I can't remember how many flats are in it. Yeah. So be careful that you make sure that on a bandstand, when that occurs, that you do
Okay.
be real
All right.
specific. Okay, so D flat.
Yes.
Let me take the bridge. So we're here. To me, at first my heart thought you could break this jinx for me. Now this is the first time, Coco, in this tune where I'm truly using my head voice to pull the pitch up, and I think that might have been what was going on. Is you're still in your chest, it's kind of reaching up to the pitch, where I'm in my head and I'm landing from above in it. So at first my heart thought, here we go, thought. First my heart thought you could break this jinx for me. That love would turn the trick to end despair.
Okay.
But now I just can't fool this head that thinks for me. I've mortgaged all my castles in the air. So a lot of that was head to pull my pitch up. And again, let me also show you this little trick with long notes. Same thing with long notes on it, really helps me hear the intonation. At first my heart thought you could break this jinx for me. That love would turn a trick to end despair. But now I just can't fool this head that thinks for me. I've mortgaged all my castles in the air. So let me turn this up. You see what I mean?
Yes.
See how that's kind of useful? So for a
Yeah.
tune like this, or Prelude to a Kiss, or Midnight Sun, where you've got all these little chromatics and it's very, very touchy, use that string pattern to kind of and I would just sing a cappella, acoustically, rather than with all the rig and everything.
Right.
Yet so you have a feel for it, and then you can almost find a muscle memory in your voice box about where those pitches need to be. If they need to be in your head, then you need to get in your head to pull it up.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Totally.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, lovely. It'll be just
Thank
a great piece of music.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
And then when I leave, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to interrupt the lesson. I'm just going to disappear.
Well, you'll be missed. We'll talk about you when you're gone.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Nice job, Coco. Thank you. Wendy, you want to tell us what you want to do today?
Sure. First of all, I wanted to again thank everyone for accommodating. I really appreciate it. Sorry if I was a little bit annoying about it, but it was a little hard to juggle. Anyway, I wasn't going to do this song, and then Greta, you're amazing because I reached out to you for the verse, and it's like instantly. So thank you for that. It's I Wish You Love, and I'm trying to put together these tunes for sitting in. Do you feel this could be one, like a jam, or is it too Not as
Well, I will answer that question kind of real briefly. I have a handful of sit-in tunes that don't involve a verse and don't involve a lot of chart reading. And this is a great tune. And if you're sitting in and you maybe have it in your back pocket or something, and you have alternates that are straight up, Green Dolphin Street, E flat, Gone with the Wind, E flat. So tunes they don't have to read. A lot of jam sessions, especially instrumental jam sessions, they don't want to read paper.
yeah.
And but now that is only applicable if you can sing the tune in the original key or the key that they're used to playing in. So I would probably not bring this for the
I
two
see.
reasons: one, that it's a chart, and two, that it's got a rubato verse. However, if you did do it and you did it with the rubato verse, have the words written into the piece. They really need the words
Hmm.
so that they can help follow you around when it's rubato. That makes sense?
Yeah, I sort of thought you were going to say if I did do it sitting in, don't do the verse.
Well, yes, that's also an option too.
Okay.
And
But I don't know what the original key is.
you can usually find that on iReal Pro. It'll be
Okay.
called the default key, and that
Okay.
sometimes is right, and sometimes you also ought to cross check it against a fake book and see.
Okay.
With
Be-
with the advent of iReal Pro, that's sort of changing the dynamic on stage for a lot of musicians. But I'm a little old school, and I feel like it would be wise for you to, in that handful of 9 or 10 tunes, at least 5 of them should be tunes that they're gonna know and not have to look up.
okay. So I will then keep
Go
that
ahead.
in mind.
Yeah,
But I
please.
think I'll just, as long as I've been working on it, I'll
Oh,
just
yeah,
bring it, even though I was planning on just doing like the sit-in tunes, but
no,
that's okay.
that's
Because
okay.
I'd like to have this
No,
tune in my catalog.
and there's nothing wrong with you bringing it and saying, hey, I've got some other things that we could do that are real straightforward, but I do have this and it's through written. Would you guys be up for it? That kind of
Hmm.
thing. But just don't
Okay.
show up with nothing but paper. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Go
That's good to
ahead.
know. Okay.
Please
So, and
sing.
also the other thing is I do have, it's funny because years ago I did this in C, which is what you sent it to me in, but then I lowered it.
Hmm.
And I thought when you sent it, I'm like, yikes. But then I'm realizing I need to strengthen my head voice more. So I'm going to give it a try.
Good for
And
you.
I'm having some like issues, like very like kind of scratch, not scratchy sick, but like hoarsish. So
Okay.
I don't
Well,
know.
so
Bear with me.
you are using your head voice while you sing in this tune, in this key, right?
I believe I
That's
am.
what I think I'm hearing. Okay. All right. Let's hear it. I'll record on my end if I need to. Okay.
Wait a sec. Sorry, I thought I had it set.
Okay.
Goodbye. No use leading with our chins. This is where our story ends. Never lovers, ever friends. Goodbye. Let our hearts call it a day. But before you walk away, I sincerely want to say, I wish you bluebirds in the spring to give your heart a song to sing, and then a kiss. But more than this, I wish you love. And in July, a lemonade to cool you in some leafy glade. I wish you health and more than wealth. I wish you love. My breaking heart, and I agree that you and I could never be. So with my best, my very best, I set you free. I wish you shelter from the storm, a cozy fire to keep you warm. But most of all, when snowflakes fall,
I wish you love. My, my breaking heart, and I agree that you and I could never be. So with my best, my very best, I set you free. I wish you shelter from the storm, a cozy fire to keep you warm. But most of all, when snowflakes fall, I wish you shelter from the storm, a cozy fire to keep you warm. But most of all, when snowflakes fall, I wish you love.
Yeah. So you say you used to do it in C, and you were thinking about dropping it down, but you decided to go ahead and do it in C after all, right?
Yeah, but it was like years ago that I did C. So it's like I had a chart made a long, not that
Yeah.
long ago in A.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, as we get older, if you don't use it, it'll go away. So
I'm experiencing that.
you're absolutely you're absolutely right I mean, who knows what the performance key might be on this, but I would like you to be able to perform it in this key and B flat and A flat. Don't do it in A unless you want to
Yeah.
make some enemies, but I think I really can't overemphasize how great it is for you guys now with iReal Pro and some of the tracks I can give you and transposing apps to experience singing these songs in several keys as an exercise, as a top opening experience. You want your top opened not only for the flexibility of singing the song in a variety of keys, but mainly as an improviser. If you leave that area of range open and available to you, then you could be doing this tune in A flat and still have ideas that get up there, and you have no hesitation to go there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think the only place in it that sounded a little tight was the bridge. And that's that ascending line. The ascension, a lot of times, is where you kind of make the decision to stay in your chest just a fraction too long. And then
Mm.
by the time you get to that first note in the bridge, it's just a little tight. So it's not the only way to do it, but I would probably have integrated my head earlier in the line before I start the bridge. So you're in C. Hold on a second.
My breaking.
My breaking heart. So instead of my breaking heart and then hoping by the time you get to that note that you're going to support it or power it or whatever, I go the Blossom Dearie route and I just get in my head earlier down. My breaking heart and I agree. It's the same thing I just did with Coco. Was the idea of get if it's under, and it was a little under and tight, get above it and pull it up with your head. And again, the premise behind it is to don't let the bridge be the first place that you've used your head that much. You used it in the verse, but I would say in the A sections, you didn't really use it all that much. But
Mm.
use it even on the low notes to wake it up so you know that
Mm.
when you got to navigate through an ascending line like that, you're not waiting until the last minute to switch. You're on it on the way up. That makes sense?
It does. And it's sort of like relearning how to do this because I used to not think about it and I had it. But when I practiced it, I was surprised when you sent it. I was surprised I was getting it and I was doing head voice. But then I think I kind of like defaulted back to this old way of singing.
The most common thing I think in this whole premise I'm throwing out at you guys, especially some of us older singers, is in concept it makes sense, but you get excited, you got your headphones on, you got an audience in front of you, all of a sudden you all that shit goes out the window and you
Right.
default to the go-to my speaking voice. That's the one that has the power, and that's it took me a long time to transition and be able to apply what I'd learned from Blossom Dearie and Barbara Streisand to on the bandstand, to not let that energy default me into belting again. And there's nothing wrong with belting on certain tunes, but this is not that kind of a tune, I
Yeah.
don't think,
And
or at least
you nailed it. Yeah. Because
not
that's
really what
exactly what,
you
yeah, it's
want the option of it to be feather light. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. Blossom Dearie, Blossom Dearie. She will show you how to get up there without tension. But it took me like 2 years of singing with her for hours at a time.
wow.
I told you about when I went to Moscow, when I went to Russia, and I just had Blossom Dearie in my earbuds and walking all around Red Square and singing for 5 hours with her. And I got to the gig that night, and my voice was so flexible. It opened up top to bottom, seamless, no clunkiness anywhere. And
Hmm.
I was like, I was amazed. So I just can't overemphasize. I think that's one way to do it, that I think is useful for older singers. Otherwise, the bottom drops out. We just end up lowering and lowering and lowering. We
Yes.
have these beautiful, great, thick Carmen McRae voices, which is wonderful. But you want the other half
Yes.
too, right?
Definitely.
Jean has a question. Does that mean going up an octave on the note to get into your head voice? Jeannie, unmute yourself and let
Yeah,
me
okay,
ask that.
yeah. So in order to go up into the head voice, you're singing that, are you taking that note and going up an octave?
No,
No.
no, that's exactly my point. Okay, so I'm gonna stay on this subject for a minute because it's tricky. No, what I'm doing is bringing my head down into my mix and all the way even down to an F. So the idea would be head, 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 head. So though that whole area of passaggio, where you also could go cha could also be ah ah. Okay. And one exercise I have my students do, because I think a lot of singers are not real sure they know the difference between their chest voice and their head voices. This is an exercise I sort of designed myself. Um, it's not easy to do immediately, so I'm going to just throw it out there at you guys and you can kind of play around with it. The idea is around a middle C, right around the middle of your range, sing a loud, obvious chest voice. It's your speaking voice. Ah, okay, and then break it, in other words, yodel, to find the same note in the same octave in your falsetto voice. That sounds like this. Ah, hear this? And if you have any doubts, stop and talk to yourself and say, ooh, do I sound like Julia Child? Yes, I do. So this must be my head voice. Oh, ah. Okay, now, if you've managed to do that and not jump the octave, I'm not going, ah, I'm going, ah, straight across. If you have trouble telling which one is which, you want the umlaut, you want the break in there so you know which one is which. It won't hurt you, it's not going to damage your voice, you're just running across your register. Then do it again, but take the little break out. Ah, see what I mean? And that's how you're massaging, getting from chest to head in this lower part of your range. Do that going up the scale from a C, up through maybe a. By the time you get to a B flat, things are pretty tight. So if I were to go, say here, G is pretty tough. Ah. Here's that C. Ah. But here's an F. This is where things start to get tight for a lot of us. Ah. Now I know which one is which. And I want to smooth that out. So if I've got to navigate a song getting me into that range, that was chest to head, chest to head. That's navigating between the two of them. It's an interesting exercise. Give it a try. Okay? Wendy, I'm going to let you go. That was great. I think we covered a lot of stuff for you. Getting back to the jam session thing, if you remind me, I have a chart for this with the verse. I'll send it to you. You will need to write the words into the verse. Okay?
Okay.
I don't think it has words. That's really important. I think
Yeah,
it helps them if they see that.
that's
All right.
awesome. That'd be
Good
great.
job.
And thank you so much for sending it so quickly.
Claudia, how are you doing today?
I'm okay, thank you. Maybe sometime we can discuss, like, with the, you've given me that exercise with the
Mhm.
back and forth, which helps immensely, but maybe some advice about how to calm yourself down when you feel that, sometimes your voice has a mind of its own, but it's happening and you don't know how to counteract it.
I do have an answer for that.
Oh, thank you.
Because I've been there. I mean, I've been doing this for 40 years. I've been in stressful situations or nerve-wracking or just plain excitement, just plain adrenaline.
Yeah.
And if I start to feel that my speaking voice, my chest voice is getting tight because I've lost control of the train, and all of a sudden I'm hollering, oh my God, I'm hollering, I didn't want to holler. So the thing to do is at the next spot where you can take a break, in other words, a 2-bar turnaround or a whole solo section, close your mouth, get the mic away from your face, breathe in through your nose, and hum into your head voice. Do some slow, quiet glissandos in your falsetto voice. It helps remind me to get that one going again. Because if the chest voice gets too prominent, the head voice just kind of goes, oh, I can't compete, I can't do it. So get this, and what that head voice falsetto and breath through the nose, for me, does a complete reset of my vocal cords. So if I'm like, I am kind of tired, I sound like Bill Clinton, oh my God, I'm kind of up here, oh no, stop. I can actually feel my vocal cords that were like this just let go, and then move to the next comfortable position to be in. Does that help?
Yeah, that does.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a slow breath through your nose. Okay. And do it as long as you need to do it. If you're in a gigging situation, you're in the middle of a song. Like I said, those spots where you have time to take the break, take it. It's an audible breath, so keep the mic away from your face. Okay. Cool. What do you want to sing?
Yeah, that helps. I'm gonna do Ain't Misbehaving again, because the difference between the measures just going up from half step and stuff. Since I think I always had problems hearing it, but then the ear infection that I've had, you and I know complications from, I think it's made it worse, and maybe it's in my head, but I need,
the bridge,
no pun intended.
This bridge on this tune is tricky. It's got half step, whole step, half step kind of movement.
The bridge is not so bad. I have trouble just with the first verse.
All right,
so
well, let's hear it.
We'll just do it.
Okay.
You'll see. Maybe it'll be fine. Who knows?
Well, we hope so.
Can you hear it? Is that loud? No one to talk with, all by myself. No one to walk with, but I'm happy on the shelf. Ain't misbehaving, I'm saving my love for you. I know for certain the one I love. I'm through with flirting, it's just you I'm thinking of. Hey, misbehaving, saving my love for you. Like your corner, in the corner, don't go nowhere. What do I care? Your kisses are worth waiting for. Believe me, I don't stay out late, don't care to go. I'm home about 8, just me and my radio. Hey, misbehaving, I'm saving my love for you. Yeah.
Good. Okay. Good. It's better than it was last week. The
Okay.
phenomenon of you ascending, why is it always these ascending lines, is still problematic. So I'm going to point out exactly what's going on. You're singing no one to talk with, all by all. So the all moves up. We move from
Yeah.
an A flat to a B flat, and you're keeping the constant note at the bottom the same pitch. So the difference is no one to talk with, all by, and it should be no one to talk with, all by myself. No. So the bottom line of this ascending line moves up, and you're not moving it up. You're moving the top
And
part
yet
of
I
it.
think I am. And yet I think I am.
Yeah, well, your brain is telling you one thing, but you're not doing it. So you move up, again, I'm going to go piano here. So you move up. So you move up from an A flat, which is your key center. You're in A flat.
Mm-hmm.
No one to talk with, all by myself. No one. So you're moving up here, here, here. No. Now, what you can do, what I do is sometimes with the similar kind of pattern in A Lullaby of Birdland, where you got a movement like this, a contrapuntal movement. Sing the top part lightly, because you already know you have that. So, no one to talk with, all by myself. No one to walk, no one to talk with, all by myself. No one to see. Then you can really see the movement of the bottom line.
Okay.
Get it?
Okay.
Okay. The
Okay.
bridge, actually, which is the harder part of the tune, I think you have.
Yeah, that's weird. Yes.
Yeah, so but get all the way up on the pitch on that last one. Like Jack Horner in the corner, don't go nowhere. What do I care? You're get all the way up on that. That was kind
Mm-hmm.
of again sort of a little bit access maybe from the chest voice, but that's full on head voice or your that would be chest voice, which is not as pretty as one would think. So yeah, so no one to talk with. All do that for me. No one to talk with.
To talk with all by myself. No one to bottom, but
Good. Now let's do it with the other lyric. So I know for certain the one I love.
I know for certain the one I love. I'm through with flirting. It's just you I'm thinking of.
Right, or yeah,
Okay.
whichever lyric we've got. But that's the
Yeah.
pattern. Ba-doodle-dee-dee, ba-doodle-dee, ba-doodle-dee-dee. See what I mean? Yeah.
That's very helpful. That'll be
Good.
very helpful.
Good. Okay. Well, I'm sure
Yeah,
you'll have
very helpful.
awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yuka, rolling right along.
Okay. At the very beginning, I want to make sure that you can hear the track.
Yes, I'm sorry I did that to you.
No.
I honestly didn't know if you were singing a cappella.
Right. Yeah. That was completely my mistake. The Zoom somehow didn't connect the microphone. This one, the console I use to hook up both mic, and so I was just singing to the PC mic.
Oh, you sounded lovely a cappella. Good. You were very
So
exposed,
yeah,
but in a good way.
just.
I'll
see.
tell you if I can't hear it. Okay.
Can you hear? Okay. All right. Then I'm gonna do with the intro along together. Let's see. as long as we're together, alone together. The blinding rain, the starless night were not in vain, for we're together. And what is there to fear together? Our love is as deep as the sea. Our love is as great as our love can be, and we can weather the great unknown if we are alone together. Ba-da-da-da-dee, ba-da-dee, ba-da-da-dee, ba-boo-ba-da-da-da-doo, ba-boo-ba-da-da-da, ba-boo-boo, ba-ba-ba-da-da-doo-dee, ba-boo-ba-da-dee, ba-boo-ba-ba-da-dee-dee-da-doo-da, ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-da-dee, ooh, ba-boo-ba-doo-dee, ba-boo-ba-da-da-dee-da-dee-da-do, ba-boo-da-dee-da-do-dee-da-do-boo, ba-ba-da-dee-da-dee-do-da, ooh, ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-da-dee, ooh, ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-da-dee-dee-dee, ooh, ba-da-da-dee, ba-ba-da-da. We ba-da-do-dee, we-da-ba-oo-ba-dee-da-da-dee, we-da-ba-oo-boo, boo-da-ba-dee-ba-doo-da-dee, ooh-ba-ba-doo-da-dee, ba-ba-ba-ba-dee, ba-ba-ba-ba-boo, ba-ba-ba-ba-boo-boo, ba-ba-da-da-da-dee, alone together beyond the crowd, above the world. We're not too proud to cling together. We're strong as long as we're together, alone together. The starless night, the blinding rain were not in vain, for we're together. And what is there to fear together? Our love is deep as the sea. Our love is great as our love can be, and we can weather the great unknown if we are alone together, alone together, alone together. Yeah, stop.
Good. Good. So we were able to hear you and the track this time.
Okay.
Much more helpful. Can you hear the track well?
I think my microphone setting for effect is too strong, so sometimes I heard my voice too much from the microphone. So
Yeah, so because I want to address that, because there was a lot of really good stuff there, but there were also some things that were not in tune.
oh, I see.
That's why before I jump, in at you about that, I need to know if you can hear the track. How
Mm.
well can you hear the track?
Well, the volume was, I think, good enough, but because of my nerve, I get so scared to death. I'm shaking, and it's like, yeah, you gave a very good advice to Claudia. I'm gonna definitely use it. But
Yeah,
yeah, but I sang this song 3 times, continuously
mhm.
chorus. So yeah, the
Okay, so
nerve killed me.
you didn't burst into flames or anything. Everything's fine. The opening head, where you sang the melody, you were perfectly in tune. Things were
Okay.
fine. And at the beginning of the scat solo, we were still kind of in tune. But the more excited or nervous or
Mm.
whatever happened in the scat solo, the more, and the higher actually also that you got, the
Uh-huh.
more we had some intonation issues about it. So
I see.
don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, oh my God, you don't sing in tune. I'm saying in the process of improvisation,
Hmm.
it's a lot to ask that
Right.
you, while the tune is happening in present time, right now, think of a
Mm.
line, think of the syllables, and sing it in tune. That's a lot to ask of yourself. So
Mm.
I'm saying, well, what if you record yourself like I just did of you?
Mm-hmm.
And then you go back objectively and you listen. So I'm going to play you some of the scat solo, and I want to make a point.
Sure.
Now I know my phone sounds like crap, but okay, that's a cool line. I like
That's yours.
that.
I took it
No,
from
it
your
isn't a cool
four
line.
bars, 4 bars
Okay, okay.
training, yeah, trainings
Point.
practice.
Pretend it was your line for my point. But my point is, you record yourself fooling around, right? And then you go. So I'm going to go deeper into this. I'm not going to analyze my own line, but let's go further into this. Okay, that one is not mine. That's you. The
Kinda.
structure of it is cool, but it wasn't quite in tune. So
Oh,
if you have the app Transcribe Plus, you could throw this recording right into that, and that will slow down what you just did. And I'm
okay.
saying, as a study, go back over your lines and going, all right, well, the structure of the line is okay, but it's a little bit out of tune. So what
Mm.
if I say, okay, let me hear it again. This one. Okay, just that one. Ba ba doo ba doo da dee da do.
Mm.
Okay? You just isolate that and go, ba ba doo da doo da
Mm.
dee da do. Right? Clean
Yes.
it up. Even, I mean, if you're that anal about it, write it out. If you got to write it out, get it so
Okay.
that it fits with the chords.
Mm.
So you see what I mean? So you're starting to kind of uh, get specific about your melody lines. Scat is more than just sort of throwing things out there and kind of hoping that they work.
Mm.
It becomes a little bit, and Ella is the one who kind of showed me this. I was like, my God, she does these lines after lines after lines, and they're all in tune. They're all always in tune. She's never out of tune. It's a miracle. So when you
Mm.
sing with somebody like that and you learn her transcriptions, you also learn how to sing every interval in tune. So what my point is that you got a lot of really cool lines in here. Isolate them and then be disciplined about how would I make that line happen again in
Mm.
tune. Not that you're going to write out a transcription and then that'll be your scat solo from now on. I mean as an educational opportunity. Does that make sense? And it could
Okay.
be the same with rephrasing without scatting. It could be alone together beyond the road, and you'd go back over it and go, say it was beyond the beep, then should it be beyond the? Take it apart like a songwriter and go,
Mm.
this note doesn't work. I need to know more about what it should be. You're almost always within a half step, either way, of making all of it work. Does that do you follow what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. Because that's definitely what I don't do. I don't take notes and I
Yes.
write it down and
Right,
make
right.
sure
So
that which note
but
is on the keyboard. That's what I really
jazz
don't do.
solos are spontaneous, right? They
Okay.
are
Yes.
spontaneous, but
Yes.
you can record them and go
Mm.
back over them and be less spontaneous about it and just do the background grunt work on it. Look,
I
we're
see.
not saxophone players. We don't go in the practice room and run this scale, then that scale, then this scale, and that scale. We
Mm.
try to create melodies out of nowhere, and we don't have valves that we push down that make notes.
Mm.
We have a bunch of slidey stuff and a conception of
Mm.
pitch in relationship to the chords.
Mm.
So we have it kind of a little harder, which means we need to go back over the lines we've created and figure out, okay, well, that was almost great.
I
If I
see.
tune this and put that there, then as an exercise, it helps build more confidence about singing in tune. Again, also scatting over the long notes pattern instead of just swing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Again, you can hear the chords better. So
Right.
maybe simplify some of your scat lines and
Mm-hmm.
make sure that each line that you create is in tune every single time. Does that make sense?
Yes. Very
So
much.
it may be less of adventure and
Mm-hmm.
more pragmatically created alternate melody lines. And if you think of them as alternate melody lines instead of scat solos, then maybe you give it the respect that it really needs. And that is, if I'm not going to sing what Arthur Schwartz wrote, I'm going to sing something else that also works. And you
Mm-hmm.
can do that. I know you can do that.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, yes, thank you very much. I have to try. Work hard.
You're still working. You're doing great. You're doing great. And the
Okay,
more
thank
that
you very much.
good,
Yes.
awesome. Maureen, why don't you talk with us a little bit about what it is you want me to play for us?
So I had a gig yesterday and I finished on a ballad and I just said, why don't we do I Wish I Knew? And the pianist said to me, she's like, you want to do a ballad? I said, yeah, let's do that. And then she started to play a little bit and I was listening and I was like, okay. And then my response, it seemed like it was rubato, and then it seemed like there were some things that were getting a little maybe wonky, and I got in my head like maybe I should rush this phrase or whatever, you know what I mean? I mean, it was kind of there were parts that were working and were really pretty, but
Mhm.
I overall I felt like there's something uncomfortable about it, and I wanted to run it past you to see
Well, I'd
about.
like to. She was Maureen was kind enough to send me the track, and I'd like to play it, and I did listen to it before the
Okay,
class, so I do have some. I might skip through the instrumental solo just for
sure,
time, but I did listen to it in its entirety to make sure you came in the right place, and you did.
right.
So she played the whole form basically.
Uh-huh.
Let me go find that email real quick. Maureen clip from gig. Here it is. Okay. You guys can hear that, right? Good. I wish I knew someone like you could love me. I wish I knew you'd place no one else. So already she's in a different place than you are with that last chord.
Yeah, I thought so. What happened?
Well, so I have a question for you.
Okay.
You guys talked about this on the bandstand. Was she looking at a chart or anything?
I don't remember if she was looking at iReal or not. I
Okay.
knew she had done the song. She's also a really killing vocalist.
Okay, so she's a singer. She
Yeah,
knows the tune.
yeah,
Well, she ran up the scale and landed on a chord that you weren't either not there yet or had already passed. So
okay,
you were not together.
yes.
You did agree at the outset to do it rubato, though, right? Or was that even discussed?
It wasn't even discussed. It was like it was a ballad, and then she started to play stuff, and I was listening, and then I was like, and I answered. Is what
Well,
happened.
you did what I think the only thing you could do once they start, you can't go wait.
Yeah, right. And I love that actually. I mean, sometimes it can take a little while, and I know maybe that's not the rules, but there's a musician that I work with a lot, and we don't really stick to the rules. And I just think we come up with some fun stuff, but I don't know. But anyway, it doesn't work on a bandstand necessarily when you need to get everybody on the same page.
Well, I mean, all that I'm hearing so far is that she established it to be rubato. It was obviously rubato when
Okay.
no tempo was established by either of you. So
Okay.
she starts playing arpeggios and
Uh-huh.
started singing.
Yeah.
Whether it's your fault or her fault, I'm not sure because it wasn't there, but you're in different places right here.
Right.
Let's keep listening.
Did I mistake this for a romance?
Okay, so there's definitely some loosey-goosey stuff
Yeah.
going around. You're not sure who should lead, etc.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, it's hard for me to demonstrate because I don't play piano, but I lead downbeats or where chords match lyrics with
Uh-huh.
my body.
Okay.
So if, I'll say I pretend I have a mic in my hand. I wish I knew someone like you could love me.
Okay.
I wish I knew you'd place no one above me. And also if I know that rest, did I mistake this? If I know there's a rest, even though it's rubato, I still have to acknowledge the rest.
Okay.
So, did I mistake this for a real romance? Did that you can answer? So a lot of conducting, or even with my
Oh, what was the melody? What's the true melody right there that you can answer?
beats me. Oh,
Yeah, really? I mean, I'm like,
can answer you. Shit, I don't know. I don't do the tune all that often, so I wish I could help you. I wish I could help you, but
okay,
I'm not sure right there.
gotcha.
As I knew, but only you can. Wish I knew, but only you can answer. I think that's it.
I think that's
But look at the music, you can figure it out. But getting back to the rubato-ness and, cat chasing its tail kind of thing,
yeah.
it helped that you told me that she's a singer. So I'm thinking, well, she's listening for where you're landing, but maybe you're not giving her any kind of visual cues of I'm going here or I'm going there.
Right.
So that is all possibly also what's kind of going on.
Sure.
I wish I knew, but only you
Now,
can answer. If you don't care.
right here, out of the blue, somebody made an executive decision and the drummer went, shing, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in. Nobody's counting anything. I'm tired of waiting around.
Yeah.
Nobody's leading. So somebody,
Yeah.
I'm making a decision. And that's, he was fine, or she, whoever was fine to do that because somebody didn't take over. But the problem with it, Maureen, is then they're establishing your quarter note.
Right.
Establishing your tempo. And if that's not what you wanted, then you get another 6 minutes of misery because it's.
I thought maybe it was a choice I made.
I couldn't see what happened, but you did not sing tempo. And the thing about rubato and establishing tempo, you don't have to stop and go 1, 2.
Yeah.
But use the end of the rubato lyric to set tempo. So you wish I knew, but only you can answer. Boom. And then you get what you want. So again, this is not your fault because it was all sprung on you. But what happened was that you didn't get out of the rubato section by establishing the tempo yourself. The ball got taken out of your hands.
Okay.
You could in future, on any ballad that you do or something that has a verse, look at the end of that section and figure out where can I establish a quarter note without having to stop and count and just sing it in time, etc. It's a really good thing to be able to have in your pocket so that it doesn't get taken away from you like that.
Why let me hope and pray you don't leave me on.
So now everybody's in on the same. So and now we all know where we are again.
Mhm.
The rest of that, and that all
And then
sounds
I think I'm about to mess it up.
okay. Well,
I think-
we'll brace ourselves. Okay.
yeah.
Just say so. Should I keep dreaming or just forget you? What can I do? I wish I
So now you're over the bar line. So
Okay.
now you're dragging.
Okay.
But the whole damn thing is dragging at this point.
Okay.
So with what she's doing there, this probably should be.
just say so.
Well, for one thing, once the tempo got established
Yeah.
for, you got to own that tempo,
Okay.
and you got to use subdivision when it's a slow Shirley Horn tempo like this to try to account for the space. No
Right.
pulling on it will help it at all. It is what it is now, and it's slow. So I use just sort of visual. I mean, I do this for myself, you know. I don't
Right.
care what anybody thinks. They see me doing this, and what I'm doing is I'm doing subdivision, subdivision. I remember watching Shirley Horn one time and watching her drummer just go shring.
Wow.
Oh, and
Wow.
I was sitting with another musician, and we just sat there and counted the subdivisions, and even the subdivisions were slow.
Yeah.
They were, because that's twice what she was doing, and it was still slow.
Yeah.
So my point is, you should have probably have established the tempo that you want in the first place, but now it's here, and what
Mhm.
happened?
Should
I dreaming on, just forget you. Yeah, so now we're rolling over the bar line. So I'd have to give this a deeper examination, and I will when we're done.
Okay.
Try to establish where the quarter note really is in relationship to the song.
Can I ask if maybe like in a lesson that maybe you take a recording and like talk about those subdivisions, like count them, like get an example of like a Shirley Horn and how that all breaks down.
I can try to do it with this.
Okay.
I'm going to go from where tempo was established.
if you don't care,
4, 1, 2,
why we
3,
hope and
4,
pray.
1,
Don't
2,
dream
3, 4,
if I
1 E, 2 E, 3 E, 4 E, 1 E, 2 E, 3 E, 4, 4. Oh, I won't forget you. What should I do? I wish I knew. So it feels like this kind of no man's land, but there actually was established tempo. But
Mhm.
you were feeling it so loosey goosey that you actually didn't put down measures in
Right.
phrasing to know where you needed to finish.
Yeah, I think it was all maybe because I'm not a counter, I'm not thinking, I'm thinking, are we rubato? And then panicking, it's just the getting in my head and it's like, oh, we're in tempo, oh, we're not, you know what I mean? I think that's what happened. If I had just realized,
Yeah.
like, as soon as you're saying, as soon as the drummer comes in and makes it, it's in tempo. As soon as the
As
bass
soon
and
as
the
you
drum,
hear tempo established by whoever it is, if it isn't,
okay,
then you have to just hang tight for a second, stand still, and listen to where the next beat is, and then make that subdivision in your body and start holding
okay,
on to it, because now it's been established. And I am a singer that is adamant that you must hold on to time.
okay, yes,
Cannot phrase and not hold on to time. I know it's a dichotomy. It's
yeah,
it's strict time versus not singing literal time. But if you don't hold strict time with your body,
right,
and all this is bullshit. It's sliding around all over the place. The only
right,
thing that anchors you to the band is your sense of where the tempo really is.
yes.
Sense?
Mhm.
I hate to do it. I'm going to move on, but I love the idea of having some of these recordings to work with and kind of show you what goes on the bandstand.
Right.
Excellent, good job, and you sounded beautiful too, by the way. I mean, you might have been kind of not real sure where things were, but nobody knew except
Yeah.
maybe the pianist. So cool. Nancy, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
What you running through?
Gingy
Okay.
and B flat. This is the recording that you sent to me.
hmm And again, with these recordings with the rubato verses, you just do the best you can to fill it in.
Sky so vast as the sky with faraway clouds. Oh, hang on.
I can't hear your track real well, Nancy. Can you put it somehow closer to the speaker on your computer?
Can you hear that?
Better.
Okay. Sky so vast as the sky with faraway clouds just wandering by. Where do they go? Oh, I don't know. Don't know. Wind that speaks to the leaves, telling stories that no one believes. Stories of love belong to you and to me. Oh, Gingy, if I only had words, I would say all the beautiful things that I see when you're with me. Oh, my Gingy. Oh, Gingy, like the song of the wind in the trees. That's how my heart is singing, Gingy. Happy Gingy, when you're with me. I love you more each day. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I'd let you go away if you take me with you. Don't you know, Gingy? I'd be running and searching for you like a river that can't find the sea. That would be me without you, Gingy.
Cool. Okay. So, Nancy, how long have you been working on this tune?
To this track, just this last week.
But I mean, were you working on the tune before? Had you worked on it with anybody?
I've sung it in gigs before.
Okay. Okay. There's a recurring pattern, a descending pattern this time that seems to kind of befuddle you each time, and I just want to take the time to kind of address that. I think you're managing this key fine. I think, as I mentioned to everybody earlier, I think it's important that, like Wendy singing "I Wish You Love," challenge yourself and sing some songs in some higher keys. This might be a higher key for you. I think you should use it to exercise with. I'm not sure it's necessarily your performance key. I think the low notes are certainly accessible for you. So you could conceivably drop this down to A flat and be fine, but keep it in B flat and work those top notes. But it's the descending line that I want to help you with rhythmically, because if you've been singing it this way on gigs, I want to help you. So this is around the same tempo. Oh, Gingy, if I only... Oh, hold on a second. Let me turn a recorder on here so I can...
I could say I was having a hard time following along to this
Yeah, but you shouldn't have, really.
accompaniment.
Honestly,
Okay.
because it's a great track. You can hear the piano, the bass, and the drums. It's a live band track.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I listened for consistency, and this happened each time you got to this point in the tune, and I'll show you where it is. Here. Oh, Gingy, if I the beautiful things. Every time you got to that line, you got behind
Oh,
and then sort of tumbled down the line. So, if I only had words, I would say all the beautiful things that I see when you're with me. It's a tricky little line, and rhythmically, I don't think you have it yet. So here's the same thing on the second A. Oh, my Gingy, second A. Don't you know, Gingy? Like the sound of the leaves in the trees, that's how my heart is singing, Gingy. So possibly what's happening is you're breathing in a funny place, and then you got a breath, and then you've missed that line. So rhythmically, if I only had words, I would say all the beautiful things that I see. Can you do that for me? If I only had words from there. And you can sing or speak it.
if I only had words, I would say all the beautiful things that I see when you're with me.
Oh,
Oh, my Gingy.
yeah. So, coming out of the bridge. Won't you know, Gingy? Take it from here.
I'd be running and searching for you like a river that can't find the sea.
Okay, so let's sing the melody that Joe Beam wrote there because it's so pretty. Like a, if I, I'd be running and searching for you like a river that you like
Like a river that.
you're making a whole step out of it. You like a river that can't find the sea. You and we've drifted in key. Let me get you back into B flat. So in B flat, I'd be running and searching for you like a river that. So let's go again. You
like a river that.
Let me hear it one more time.
You like a river.
No.
Ah!
Okay. Now listen. I feel you. Descending patterns are tricky. So don't be surprised. They're like going down a staircase backwards. Melodically, if you have a descending line and you're having trouble with it, slow down. You like a river. You
like a river.
You like a sing. You like a
You like a
river that
river that.
yes. Put it together.
You like a river that.
And find the sea. There you go. That's it.
Can't find the sea. That would be me.
Right, exactly. So you get a descending line and you get sloppy with it. I see it all the time with something like, Midnight Sun. It's like, your lips were like a... it's very specific. So this one, if you divide the line in half, woodshed the first half of it and then the second half of it and then glue it together and you got it. And that's all you need to do with this one.
Thank you.
Good.
I was really trying to be more light and in my head voice. Could you tell?
I think you were doing a much better job of it this week, and I know it's sort of new to even think about, but yeah, I think,
Okay.
and it takes some time to get it to be facile and have a nice tone too, and a little air in it as well that gives it body and presence, but keep working at it. I think that's going to definitely help. Good. Nice job.
Thank you.
Ted. Representing Ted as he's
Yeah, good afternoon.
How you
Hey, I'm doing well. And I have to admit, I'm kind of keeping my eye on the Mariners game. They are winning. They're beating the Astros, bottom of the ninth inning. So, update.
Okay.
A couple of things from earlier discussions I was curious about.
Mhm.
And one early on was about, what songs are appropriate to use when you sit in?
Mhm.
And in Seattle, we've got some of those are coming up, all singers are welcome, sit in. How do you know that? Does it have to be in a jazz fake book, or how do you know what's appropriate?
Well, I mean, I give the general advice because I hosted a singers jam session at Tula's for 26 years, so I've seen a lot of jam sessions. First, let me just sort of clarify: in most cities, I'm not sure if it's true in New York or Chicago, but definitely in Seattle, there's a couple of different types of jam sessions. There is a vocal jam session in which Dave DeRocher does a couple of those. The one that I hosted at Tula's was a singers jam session, in the sense that there was always a professional rhythm section there backing singers one after another, and occasionally horn players would show up and sit in too. But it was specifically designed to make singers comfortable. And then there's general jazz jam sessions, like the one at the Owl and Thistle and the one at the Royal Room. Those are run by jazz musicians, and they sometimes are welcoming to singers and sometimes less than welcoming to singers. The uh, etiquette I was talking about, I modify it somewhat depending on what kind of jam session you're talking about. If you're talking about a vocal jam session where the rhythm section is all there, all ready to help kind of baby you through any troubles that you might have on stage, in that case, sometimes it's okay and kosher to bring iReal Pro charts, or even a chart like the one that Wendy was talking about. Don't bring anything more than 2 pages, though, unless you want to get rocks thrown at you. But
Hmm.
um,
So there's one at the Aurora Borealis now, the
yeah,
first
that's
Wednesday.
Dave's. Yeah, Dave's a student of mine, so that's Dave's jam.
Okay.
He
Okay.
always has a great rhythm section. So as long as you know your key, and possibly if you're going to use iReal Pro charts, print them out in your key. Don't just assume they have iReal Pro.
Right.
And have
And a note about the words too. I thought that was very helpful.
the words are only going to be applicable if you're trying to do something rubato, and you know what rubato means, right?
Well, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, but it seems really important to have those. And recently, I had an experience with, well, Our Love Is Here to Stay, and that has a nice rubato entry, but I had kind of changed the words. So my accompanist was like, man, that really messes me up when you change the words, because I'm really looking at the words. I kind of know the chords,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
I'm
let me
trying to
ask you
follow
first of
you.
all, what was your premise to change? What was your impetus to change the words? What
I,
made you
I
decide to?
forgot them, so I made something up.
Oh. Okay. All right.
But another point on that I thought was helpful is he said, okay, listen, rubato, you do with it whatever you want, but give me the lead in. It's very true of the rhythm that you want to have established.
Right.
And the woman you talked to earlier about, I wasn't sure who was establishing the rhythm.
Right.
My thought was, well, that should be made clear. And I think typically it's going to be the singer, but
Well,
he was smart enough or good enough to say, you go ahead and do that. I'm waiting for you to do that.
because in music there's pickups, and do you know what pickups are?
Hmm.
Pickups are music that happens in front of the downbeat of the bar line. So it's very clear as being
Right.
the beginning of the phrase. And what he's trying to say is, you can be loosey goosey, etc. Maybe for the first A section, and the second, and the B. Maybe you went all the way through the A and the B rubato, but then he wants you to set tempo with, but oh my dear. And so
Well,
he's
yeah, I thought it was helpful to have that established up front. And if the accompanist isn't going to say, here's what's going to happen, maybe we as singers have to let them know, listen, I'm going to establish the rhythm on the pickup.
yeah.
So that there isn't
So
any
they,
mystery.
they would
Because
agree
I just sense
with
how
that. Yeah.
awkward that would be. Well, I thought you were going to do it. No, I thought you were going to do
No,
it.
no, no. There's
That's got to be made clear.
a lot of what happens is this cat chasing its tail, because the singer doesn't understand the music enough to know when you need to lead and when he needs to lead. There's also chords at the end of phrases where if you're the singer, you need to let him finish that whole phrase before you start. So, in other words, it isn't completely free. It is a relationship between you and the musician. You
Yeah,
both need
ideally.
to understand.
Ideally, that's true.
Yeah. So, I
So,
mean, I'll have singers go through their music and circle the chords where certain words meet, so that you start to understand where, at least, like I was talking to somebody earlier today about Maureen, about cueing kind of downbeats because it's rubato, which means there's no math, there's no established tempo. So somebody needs to lead and say, "Here's my downbeat, and now
Yeah. Yeah.
another downbeat, and then I'm going to set my tempo with and da dee da." So,
Right. Right.
but when
So my third kind of prefatory inquiry here is on the scat singing. So this is all new to me. It's a new genre for me, and I'm trying to listen and pick up on it. And last time you said, "Well, listen more and more, listen more and more." But I kind of have a more general inquiry. And you're well known as a scat singer, but I wonder if every jazz singer also should be a scat singer, or maybe you no, maybe you just don't have the you
no,
maybe don't like it, maybe you don't do it well, and is that a is that a put down? Is
no,
that kind of you're lower on the ranks of jazz singers if you don't scat?
you think Frank Sinatra is low on the scale of
Well,
jazz?
okay,
He can
all
scat.
right,
Look, I mean, when I teach a class on scat singing, one of the first things I say to all the aspiring good singers out there is, you don't have to scat to be a jazz singer. Think about all the classic. Billie Holiday didn't scat. Nancy Wilson didn't scat. Dinah Washington
okay,
didn't scat. Nat King Cole didn't scat. Frank Sinatra didn't scat. Out
yeah.
of all the classic singers, only about 4 or 5 of them scatted.
Well, thank you,
So,
because in this Blue Street Voices with Bardoon, I definitely get the impression if you don't scat, you're just not worth something. So that's just an opinion, one person's opinion,
that's
one
good.
opinionated person's opinion. Okay.
I would rather see singers be interested in exploring improvisation in general. And scat singing just happens to be the further extreme of it. But
Okay.
skills involved, subtleties of timing, understanding rhythmic uh, improvisation, being able to play with the rhythm of the phrase, harmonic improvisation.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna try that, and see
The
how it
same,
sounds.
the same tools apply uh, to rephrasing as they do to scat singing. So I would suggest that, if especially if you're just getting started at this, rephrase. In other words,
Right,
repeat what,
right.
but
Yeah.
work
Well,
on.
it's interesting to me because I played trumpet for years, still play some, and
Mhm.
that, like you mentioned earlier, that kind of improvisation it's pretty well set. You hit the bells right, and you're right in
Right,
the
but
groove of things.
we have to actually hear the line and then find it and then
Okay. Well, let me try LOVE and
okay,
see how that goes. All right.
I'll do
Is that okay?
yeah, that's fine.
L is for the way you look at me. O is for the only one I see. V is very, very extraordinary. E is even more than anyone that you adore, and love is all that I can give to you. Love is more than just a game for two. Two in love can make it. Take my heart and please don't break it. Love was made for me and you. Da 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 ba ba da ba ba da 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 ba da da da. Da ba ya da 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 ba 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 da ba da da. Ba da ba 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 da ba da ba da. Wa ba da ba da 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 da. Da 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 ba da 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 da. And love. I am off somewhere.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't hear my own accompaniment. That's the
Hold on,
problem.
Ted. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm going to stop this. Stop. I
Ah,
couldn't hear my own accompaniment. That was the
yeah.
problem.
So that was my next question. Was that I was kind of asking the same thing as I asked of somebody earlier, and that is, if you're going to improvise, the most important thing that needs to happen is that you can hear the track.
Well, I
Right.
couldn't
And
hear.
so you were kind of almost throughout, even from the very
I
beginning.
was off.
You were ahead by one beat,
Yeah, I got started wrong.
enough that we sort of turned the beat upside down. So
Yeah.
give
All
yourself
right. Well, that aside, yeah, and that's I'm just getting used to this thing.
Well,
And
with iReal
yeah, I
Pro,
tried to hold it too close, but yeah,
yeah, you can hold it up to your ear and listen to it. You
I
can,
think that'd be better.
yeah, you can give yourself an intro. First of all, give yourself an intro. Put the cursor on the last 4 bars of the tune and give yourself a 4 bar intro.
Okay, see, that's a trick I wasn't aware of. I really wanted that. Didn't
Yeah,
know you
now
how
you
to
know
do
how to
that.
do it. So
Okay.
practice more with that, and then you have 4 bars to establish where 2 and 4 are,
Yes,
and really kind of know what you're doing. So
right.
now what you did on the scat, and I'll be real brief because I want to make sure I get on to everybody else. What you did on the scat is what a lot of people do, and that is just scat the melody. That's fine. That's a place to start. B da do ba do dee dee ba da da. So just stay with that for a little while and just embellish it a little bit. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It'll definitely be better when you can hear it well enough to do it.
Yeah, that was tough. I'm sorry. Sorry to do that to you.
Sorry, now you know. Now you know about iReal Pro, and then and maybe even a little Bluetooth speaker or something that you can play it so it's louder.
Yeah. Yeah. And I suppose if you get off, yeah, I knew I was off, but I didn't know if I
Hey,
should stop or keep going.
well, can I answer that? It is important
Please.
to know what to do. If you know you're off, but you can't, and this can happen on the bandstand, it happens to the best of us. You know you're off, something feels wonky. Stop singing. Stop singing and stop moving because you need to take about a measure and establish where is 2 and 4. Okay, now I know where we are. But
Yeah,
if
because everyone is suffering.
you persist in trying to hang on to it and somehow fix it, you never will. So lift off, listen, and jump back in. That's all.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
Thanks, Ted. Jamie, are y'all moved in? I see some stuff in your shelf behind you. That's good.
This has been the move that just is never ending. It's hilarious. I haven't slept in my house yet.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. But no, it's good. I'm gonna love it. Piano tuner just left a little bit ago. So yay, I have a piano.
Great. What do you have
So,
for us?
well, I wanted to ask you, kind of piggybacking on what Maureen was talking about. I went to a session the other night, because I'm just feeling out Bellingham and trying to meet musicians and stuff. And it wasn't a vocal jam session at all. It was just for musicians. And in fact, there were only 2 musicians who sat in other than myself.
Uh-huh.
So I'm used to like not getting called at all if if it's like a normal jam or you get like one song and then okay, go as a singer. And they kept like, oh, you want to sing another tune? You want to do another tune? And so it was cool because there were so few of us, and it was like an actual, like the first one, we didn't establish like how many solos were going to go down or anything like that, which at a singer's jam, you normally are like, okay, I'm going to do the, tune, and then, you guys take a solo and then I'll come in, we'll do the head out, like that's usually how it's done. Well, this one, everybody soloed every tune. So I was like, okay, that's cool to like, so the first one I stepped on their toes and came in too soon. Like they just did a chorus and then I came in at the top and the bass player.
And I don't mean to interrupt you, Jamie, but that kind of answers Ted's question in talking about jam sessions. The difference between a vocal jam session and an instrumental jam session is exactly that. There'll be a lot of horn players, or they'll take multiple choruses, and also nothing is discussed up front. It's just they just count it off, go, and the understanding of song form and general etiquette, that being that you would either come in halfway through or at the top. That's all. Nobody needs to say anything. All you do is just hang on tight, but you have to, as the vocalist, being on the other end of the tune, you have to keep track of every freaking solo. You can't let go of your attention span once, because it could be 14 choruses later and the guy stops halfway through the form and you're at the bridge.
Right.
Right? Okay, so keep telling the story.
So I did it properly as far as form, and I did Can't Help Lovin' That Man, which is like my back pocket tune. So I just didn't know because nobody was even making eye contact or it was just kind of like it wasn't a New York jam where it was like, passed by, you know what I mean? It wasn't like that. It was a Bellingham jam, which is fine. But anyway, so that was fine. I came in and, the top and the bass player like kind of gave me a look like you just took my solo, but whatever, it was fine. We went on.
Can I just for clarification for me, you did "Can't Help Loving This Man." Did you do it as a ballad or what kind of
No,
song?
I swing it.
Okay, all right, okay, good.
On my album, I do it in 3/4. We like did a cool arrangement in 3/4, and it's kind of like up, but I never do that at a session or
You
whatever.
don't want to do that unless they were all hip to it. Or you had-
Exactly. Yeah. So I just
Okay, so you went ahead and
so did that, and then the next one I did was This Can't Be Love, which I did with you last week. That was fine. Everybody took 8 million solos and it came in at the end. It was just fine. And then I ended up doing, they wanted a ballad and the guitarist was like, can we do I Fell in Love Too Easily? And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. That's also on my album. I know that really well. But every time I do that tune at a session, everybody gets lost. And I don't know what that is. It was like a slow domino train wreck to the end with all of us.
did anybody have a chart or were they just trying to play it by ear?
That tune everybody was just doing by ear.
Okay, but you felt like they got lost, you got lost, who got lost?
It was like we lost the core rhythm of it. Like even though it was a ballad, like what you were talking about, and I'm sure as a singer that was probably my fault. I just didn't know what to do about it.
Can you, I know it's just a cappella and everything.
Mhm.
Can you sing the song to yourself a little bit and then count it off and then sing what you wanted? Just pretend I'm your band. Give me your count off and then start singing.
Sure. We just had them like rubato in the beginning and then like I kind
And
of
the same sort of situation that Maureen had.
yeah, but I did kind of establish it. The
Sing
first run through was fine.
Sing it a cappella up to the point where you established the tempo and show me what you did. Do you mind? You think you can remember?
I'll try. I fall in love too easily. I fall in love too fast. And I kind of was like, like.
Did you snap or anything?
No, I just was like nodding a little bit.
Okay.
Which usually.
So how far? So you said it was rubato to begin with. How far into it was it rubato, and when did you?
There we go. Oh my God, I can't even remember when we came in but the first time through was fine. It was just like after the solos, everybody was like, "Where are we?"
Well, that's very interesting. So in other words, whatever happened at the front, you did establish it, and
yeah,
everybody knew the meter and where we were, and then after the solos, when you came back in, was that when it got wonky, or were there?
Yeah, it was like everybody had their own idea of where it needed to go. I guess my question is like, you kind of answered it with Maureen a little bit. Like you have to be really solid as the singer, like leading if you're singing. But is this a tune that happens with regularly? Because it's happened every time I've called it.
Well, what you just showed me on your head was, I fall in love too easily, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
So, I fall in love too fast. I fall in love too terribly hard for love to ever last. My empty well stood, 'cause I've been fooled in the past, and still I fall in love too easily. It's not an overly.
It should be easy, right?
Yeah. I would say the only thing that's kind of confusing about it is it's a short song.
Yeah, maybe I push the bar line a little bit too much. Maybe it is on me. I'm not.
I address that a little bit. I don't mean to interrupt you, Jamie, but it
No.
brings to mind a good point that I always demonstrate in a ballads delivery class. And the thing is, it's about phrasing over the bar line. If you stand completely still with no evidence on your body that you're going to be back phrasing or playing with moving the phrases around the bar line, the musicians, thinking that you might be lost, will pick up and move. Okay?
I bet that's what's
I
happening.
think
I
that
bet
probably.
it is.
So what I do, I'm going to take a minute to just kind of show it. Um, Bear with me, because it's a really funny thing. In love too easily. Okay, I don't even care what key this is in. So say you got your Shirley Horn slow tempo you're going here. You've got something like this. I fall in love too easily. Maybe it's even slower than that, and you're. I fall in love too fast, and you're not moving at all. I fall in love too terribly hard for love to ever last. My heart should be. Now, all of a sudden, they're starting to go, oh shit,
Yeah.
shit, because you're not moving at all.
And
Now,
you're like, stay steady, stay steady.
it's like improvising on quicksand, man. Hold still.
Right.
So, so I'm gonna be the same singer in the same situation, but I'm going to make sure they know to trust me. And here's how I'm going to do it. Can't keep going. Except that it's such a short song, we're almost done. I'm going to do it again from the top. Okay. First thing they see on me is this. I fall in love too easily. I fall in love too fast. I fall in love too terribly hard. For love to ever last, my heart should be well schooled, 'cause I've been fooled. Now I even forward phrased, okay? Where the hell is the damn thing playing? Sorry. God, stop! What?
That's what it was. I'm sure of it. I'm sure. Because I was like, stay steady. And they're like slowing down as I'm slowing.
That's what happened. So keeping on your body this little pendulum motion of here is the tempo. You know, you hold it however you want to hold it, but for God's sake, hold it and hold it visually so they look up at you. Any good accompanist, when you're dragging the phrase around in the bar line, will look up at you. The first thing they will look at is your foot. Is your foot keeping time? And if your foot isn't keeping time, they'll look up at you, the rest of you, after they check out your ass and your tits. And then they'll see, is there any evidence of time on her at all? And then they will make an executive decision. So about 2 or 3 more bars, and they'll look at each other and go, boop, and jump. And you won't even know what happened. Well, you would probably know what happened, but that's what's going on, is you have to. And again, this is just unspoken stuff. This isn't you going up there and saying, everybody hold on to it because I'm going to try to improvise against you. You know, you just, with body language, they trust.
Okay.
They see it. So so that you can, trust me, it is not easy to keep steady time on your body and then sing floaty phrases, but you have to learn to do it. Because this is evidence of I know where the anchor is, and this allows me to phrase and let the phrase float around. If this goes away, we established it earlier today why it's important in a musical sense, but it's also important in a communication sense with them so they can trust you, right?
So interesting because coming from classical singing, I did that for 20 years, and you are never supposed to show time in your body in
Well, I
classical
know.
singing.
I did a show with the
So,
Pacific Northwest Ballet years ago, and it was Kurt Weill's Seven Deadly Sins. So I'm the
oh,
singer, and I come from a jazz rock background, and of course I'm tapping my foot and all kinds of shit. And the conductor was like, "Greta, we do not tap our foot." And I said, "Well, you're going to have to nail mine to the stage because I can't do this without tapping my foot."
and it's like, so I have a fear in that because I've been doing that since I was a kid, and like
I have a lot
last,
of singers that deal with that. They've either been told from church singing or classical singing that no, this is the opposite in jazz. It is
yeah.
50% rhythm and it's 50% rhythm, and that's your responsibility.
Hmm.
So that's what happened.
Thank you so much. That's so helpful.
I have a
Cool. All right.
question that
Good to
kind
see
of
you.
relates. Oh, am I unmuted? Hello.
Yeah, Maureen, you're unmuted. What do you have?
Yeah, I was just wondering if you have any suggested like exercises for really getting more comfortable with time. You
Oh,
know,
so
getting it in your body and feeling
yes.
comfortable
Yes,
expressing
my
it.
answer is yes.
Okay.
Um, Metronome,
Yes.
use a metronome.
Yeah.
There's no shame in using a metronome. My husband is one of the best bass players in Seattle. He uses a metronome when he practices until 4 o'clock in the morning.
Hmm.
So we have iReal Pro. It is a metronome essentially.
Hmm.
So the thing about keeping time, when you're new at it,
Yeah.
you actually kind of have to really think about the space between one beat and the next and be consistent. The slower it is, the harder it is because there's more space between beats. I can keep time and have a conversation with a person at the same time and let this just be consistent. It just knows where my body knows where it is. So when I was thinking about this for singers, I was thinking, well, how can I have you get to the point where your sense of time is so metronomic that you can do other things?
Hmm.
Well, set up either a metronome or iReal Pro with a tempo that you're working on. Sit down, because if you're seated, that will kind of help a little bit. Tap your foot on the quarter note, snap on 2 and 4, turn the television on, and watch TV for about 15 minutes and just keep it going. And after about 5 minutes, don't do this with anybody else in the room with you because they'll kill you. But after about 5 minutes, the metronomic, this little swing that I'm doing, this will start to have its own fruition. I start to kind of feel, oh, okay. And then I can do that and look at television or etc. and
Hmm.
start to kind of feel time without having to be so literal about it.
Hmm.
Because what we were discussing a minute ago is about literal time and then not singing literal time. And they are a dichotomy, but they both have to happen at the same time. All of the great jazz singers do it. And even if you don't see time on their body, if you look at videos and you go, well, Greta said that blah, 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 but she's holding still. Well, if I close my eyes and I hear her phrase in such a way that I know she knows time, I don't care if I can see it on her or not. But I see and work with an awful lot of singers, and a lot of times I can tell right away whether they have time problems.
Hmm.
So that's a good one. Make sure that every time you sing a song, unless it's rubato, every tune has a tempo. You can just work with the iReal Pro. You can turn the piano and the bass off, play the different patterns, and figure out how to hold on to those yourself, or even learn how to play them yourself.
I don't seem to have a problem. You know, when I practice with iReal Pro, I don't feel like I have a problem. I think it's like some self-consciousness thing that happens on the bandstand or something, but it's also the playing with it like a Shirley Horn
Yeah,
tempo.
well,
You know,
like I
that,
said, the further apart it is, the
yeah,
more the subdivision or the bigger the circle 8 that you got to make, and a 1
yeah,
E and a 2 E and a da da da, etc. Or 12/8 that you could feel in between the 4
yeah.
da 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 da, etc. But using iReal Pro for its rhythm component, I think is a really great tool. Just uh, make sure that you know how to hold on to specific rhythms in your body. You got to have a quarter note on your foot. In a swing tune, you also have to have 2 and 4 in your hand if possible. If you're working on a straight 8 bossa feel every quarter note and essentially imagine the 8th note, which is touch, 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 and those start to kind of be easier to carry around fully. I do
Right.
want to make sure that we get Jeannie and Maita their time too. So thank you guys. Jeannie, what do you want to sing?
So I'm going to sing I'm Old Fashioned. I really love the conversations about having been on the bandstand, you guys that are presenting your recordings. It's really interesting conversation, versus singing on track. What really happens when you're,
Yeah,
that's so cool.
the real world. Yeah.
The
Well,
real world, which I haven't been in, with any of this for a long time. Anyway, so let's hope this is loud enough. Can you hear that? Okay. I'm old-fashioned. I love the moonlight. I love the old-fashioned things. The sound of rain upon my window pane. The starry sky that autumn brings. This year's fancies are passing fancies. Something's wrong. But sighing sighs and holding hands, these my heart understands. I'm old-fashioned, but I don't mind it. That's how I wanna be, as long as you agree to stay old-fashioned with me. I'm old-fashioned, but I don't mind it. That's how I wanna be, as long as you agree to stay old-fashioned with me.
yeah. Good to hear you again, man. You got a beautiful voice, Jeannie.
Ah, thank you.
Yeah, great job.
Thank
So
you.
this track, now where does this track come from?
Oh, so this is from Standard Tracks. It's a group in England that I've used a few times.
Okay. So it's a perfect example of what we kind of been talking a little bit about today, and that is rubato. Now, it's sort of an oxymoron to have rubato that's recorded, because then it's no longer has the nature that live has of the cat chasing its tail. But it's the perfect opportunity for you to practice how I learned to sing rubato, and that is to play air piano.
Ah.
Those are the wild and wacky things I'm going to ask you to do.
Okay.
Take your track, don't sing, be the piano player. Get to know the track well enough that you're actually playing air piano with them, so that you can kind of feel the timing. And then you can start to insert where the lyrics are. So what happened a couple of times is you got ahead of him, because you needed to play the chord and you were ahead of him, and then vice versa. You got behind him a couple places.
Yeah.
But that won't happen if you play air piano on it and sing the song in your head. So,
Okay.
you know what I mean? You kind of get what I mean?
So, might need an example, a little
Well,
more.
I don't
Okay.
have the track, so I can't
Okay.
give you that. But
Yeah.
play
Yeah.
here. There might be latency, but there might not be because I'm not going to sing out loud. Play the
Okay.
track. Play the track.
Play the track now. Okay.
Don't sing, but play the track. Which chords go with which words. A starry summer thing. I know I'm waiting for this fancy. But sighing skies my heart understands. So you see what I mean? I've
Yeah.
never heard this track before, but I know the tune well enough to know which chords go with which words. So I know when to wait because he hasn't played the chord yet that goes where I'm going. You see what I mean?
I see. Yeah.
The same information that I was kind of giving some of you earlier about actual live rubato is if you know what the chords sound like, you know when you can lead or when you need to wait for him to play the chord. Does that make sense?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you're kind of so you're playing air piano to begin with, as though you're the pianist, and the pianist's relationship to the melody is what you need to understand. So right now, this is finite. It's been recorded, so it
Yeah.
is
Right.
what it is. But if you were in a room with this pianist and you wanted to move faster through certain passages, you could do it if you knew when you could lead and when you had to wait for him to finish a passage, right? So it's this kind of give and take. But a recording like this allows you to just study what the chord progression is in a rubato fashion.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
makes sense?
Yes, it does. Yeah, that's
Well,
great.
you sounded great. I mean, but get to know your track enough
Yeah.
that you're not ahead of a chord. And that was the point where you went, it sounds something's wrong.
So yeah. I got
That's because
lost.
you got there too soon.
Yeah.
It helps if something's wrong, it helps if you know why it's wrong. And now you know it was there because you didn't wait for him. You got ahead of him.
Yeah. Okay.
Sing that
Yeah.
phrase till that chord is sitting there for you.
I see. That's fascinating. Yeah, it's great.
It's
Thank
cool.
you. Thank
All
you.
right, nice job.
Thank you.
Maita, what do you have for us today?
I have Coltrane, his Lonnie's Lament, which I've converted into Better Than This with my lyrics. It is 4 verses with a little, very short solo in between, piano solo. So I'm not doing any kind of soloing myself.
Okay, so but we're listening to your vocal and then a little short instrumental.
Right.
Right. Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know if I'm familiar with it.
When the rays of the tender morning sun start to rise, and the light seeps right through the window pane, toward our eyes. Then we open our dream-drenched lids and we kiss, and then I see that the love we know can never get better than this. Like the buds in a garden, love unfurls in the spring. When they open their petals, bees arrive on the wing. Like a bee, I have burrowed deep in your soul and found my bliss. And the love we have just doesn't get better than this. At the beach in El Porto, you ride the waves rhythmically. As the sun bids farewell and disappears gloriously, every single Midas ray finds your face and paints it a precious gold. And the love we know just doesn't get better than this. If you should ever decide to leave me all on my own, I will borrow the raven's plaintive song to call you back home. When it reaches your heart, we'll tenderly heal our sad abyss. Then we'll know our love will never get better than this. Better than this.
Wow, that's great.
Thank you.
So you wrote these lyrics?
Yeah,
You're a damn good lyricist, man. I
thank
remember you
you.
were doing was it the beans for my mother. What was the name of that one?
Oh, my mother's beans.
I love that. That was a great.
Oh, thank you.
You're a really good lyricist, and I'm picky about it because I've been writing lyrics to instrumental pieces now to myself, and I hear a lot of stuff that I'm just like, it's just it's like the lyricist forced it to work, but you have to let the music lead, and then you find a way to. And so it felt really good to me. I mean, like it.
Well, he never changes it. It's always the same.
Mhm,
So if you're going to make any changes, it's going to be in the phrasing.
mhm.
And the melody to me, is just so gorgeous. You don't really
No,
have to
that was what I
fool
was going to
around with
say. Was well, my first question was, what do you want my feedback about? Because it just is beautiful. But my thought was to tell you that yes, it's almost mesmerizing in its kind of monotony, so to speak. You know what I mean? It's that kind of a piece, and the the option that you have for variation will be just in rhythmic delivery because I wouldn't mess with the melody at all. I agree with
Well, I think this was a situation where, it's very rangy and it goes from chest to head.
you.
And so I practiced it with the idea of introducing the head voice early on. And because I had my first attempts at singing this song were not very good. It
Because
just, because your voice has to be kind of it's got to carry through with some consistency. And in the beginning, my chest voice was too large, too big, and then I would go into wah, and it would sound funny.
so you've balanced it now by pulling your chest back a little bit and integrating your head voice earlier in the piece, so that when you did have to get up to the necessary high notes, it didn't feel like there were two different singers singing it, right?
Well, that's what I wanted to know if it
I,
was.
I think you executed it beautifully, and I thought it got better and better. The first one was a little abrupt because that's the first big jump, but then after that, the jumps got more and more seamless. So I guess I would take the take the critique that the more you do it, the easier it's going to be. So ultimately, you want the first jump to be as seamless as the last jump was.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but I mean, this is small criticism. It isn't really. It's just an observation that you're on the right path to getting those jumps to be seamless. You want them to be dynamic because it's a dynamic line. But you're right. I think in trying to kind of merge the two voices, so the the top has impact. The chest needs to back off a little bit. So, but also I would even overdo your diction even a little bit more.
Oh yeah.
Exaggerate. Yes, exaggerate it because it's so powerful. The lyrics are so powerful. I did a studio class with some students a couple weeks ago, and the engineer and I were both talking with the singers about how exaggerated your diction really needs to be. And it's almost always when you're doing it right, your face feels ridiculous because you're like, oh my God, you can't really mean that. Yes, I do.
Yes.
And
Okay.
so you could give even more animation to the lyrics that you've got here. It's even in the quiet passages, your face is still quite animated, so everything just kind of pops. And then when you've got the jump, and that's just gratis. But that and some subtleties in timing, I think, would be what to do with the delivery because the piece itself has got this mesmerizing kind of monotony to it, and you riding over the top of it can kind of play with contrasts.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Great job. I think everybody wants the song. What's the song? What's the song?
Just
Yeah, beautiful job.
thank you so much.
Well, it's
Thank
great to see everybody. I know we answered a lot of questions, and I talked a lot, but I can't help it. That's my job, I guess. It's wonderful to see you all. If this timing all still works for everybody, we'll meet same time next week. If anybody has any adjustments they need to make, please let me know a couple days in advance, and I'll see what I can do. Okay. All right. Love you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Goodbye, everyone.